Hey, Purple World. It's Clint. I'm flying solo today because Messina's in Minneapolis celebrating in the festivities that are going on for Prince's birthday. I stayed in New York celebrating the festivities that are happening here. So it's the day after Prince's birthday, and yesterday the Originals album came out finally, and we're here to discuss that. I'm actually really surprised at how good the album turned out to be. I knew the songs that were on there, and I actually assumed that the versions that I had in my collection were going to be the same as the ones in the actual album, but that wasn't true in every case. I'm going to go through each song and kind of give my review, but overall, the album is great. And I think it's a good thing to actually have this collection, especially for the newbies out there, because it's kind of exposing them to the songs that weren't recorded by him, but it shows that, you know, he's more than a performer, he's also a songwriter. So let's go through the songs. The first song in the set was Sex Shooter. And this is one of the instances where I thought it was going to be the same recording that I had so many years in my bootleg collection. Yes, I have bootlegs. But this one, the version I had actually included Vanity in there. So it was Vanity singing Sex Shooter as opposed to Apollonia. And the version on the Originals album is actually Prince singing it in a woman's falsetto. So it almost sounds like it's the same song, but it's Prince singing it in a falsetto. So obviously, well, I mean, based on the lyric content, you knew it was supposed to be for a woman, but he also sang it as a woman. So that's actually kind of cool to hear, and I was really happy with what I was hearing. The second song is Jungle Love. Now, I'm not sure if it was really a demo, because in the beginning of the song, you know, you hear him laughing and joking with the band, so it might have been more of a rehearsal than an actual demo, but it basically followed the same line as the release version of Jungle Love. Now, here's where it falls into those instances where it's not really the song that I thought it was going to be. Manic Monday. It's just Prince solo. There's no originally the song was supposed to be written for Apollonia 6. So the version I have actually has Apollonia singing it. But this version, straight Prince. So I was actually kind of surprised at that. See, my expectation was that, you know, they took what was in the vault, and I assumed that whatever was in the vault was the only thing that existed of those songs. But obviously, you know, I guess he needed a demo for Apollonia 6 to follow. So this was the version, and it's actually really good. Now, track number 4 is Noon Rendezvous, and that's Sheila E.'s song. Now, this version is a little different because it's not the same basic track. It's basically Prince on the piano alone, and I think it's the same as a bootleg that I had called Intimate Moments with Prince, and basically that collection was just Prince. It was like the piano and the microphone release from last year, but a different session where Prince just sits in front of a piano and kind of belts out songs here and there, which is awesome. And they really should do the second, really should do that one that I have, the Intimate Moments one, because the song selections are different, and it's just as good, actually. And it's a great version. His voice is awesome. It's, you know, Prince and ballads, gotta love it. Fifth one, the fifth song is actually the highlight for me on this album, and it's Makeup. That's Vanity Six's song. It was actually one of my favorites on the Vanity Six album, and you know, back in the 80s, I kind of liked those robotic beat songs, and this was one of them. But Prince's voice kind of makes it a little better. And don't assume that because it's Prince's voice that the songs are better. There are some instances where Prince's voice didn't complement the song, and I'm going to go through there. But on Makeup, I could listen to this up and down, and I'm going to be happy. I might wear this track out when I actually get the physical copy, which comes out in a couple of weeks. But this is definitely the highlight of the album for me, at least. Then comes number 6, and that's 100 Miles an Hour, which is a Maserati song, and it's basically the same take on it. Really no changes there. The next song is actually a disappointment for me. Number 7, that's You're My Love, and that's a Kenny Rogers song, and I've had that song for a while because just so you know, my life doesn't revolve around Prince. I actually have a soft spot for Kenny Rogers. I'm not a rabid fan, but I like his voice, and I've always liked his voice. You know, you can't argue. Lady, great song. You Decorated My Life, but we won't go into his discography. But You're My Love, I actually like that song better from Kenny Rogers. And again, Kenny didn't use the basic track that Prince gave him. He re-recorded the song, but honestly, musically, he didn't stray too far from it. It's a little cleaner. It still should have been labeled as produced by Prince because the producer that did produce Kenny's version didn't really stray very far from the layout that Prince laid. Now, the thing that disappoints me is that Prince kind of goes a little crazy with the vocals, while Kenny Rogers was very smooth. He's very basic, and it presented the song a little better, especially the message of the song where he's singing to the love of his life. Prince's version, his vocals were a little erratic. I didn't like it as much. I was actually very disappointed. That was the song I was looking forward to the most, and ultimately was disappointed in. Now, song number, what is this, 8? Song number 8 is Holly Rock, another Sheila E. song, and it's basically the same song, just Prince singing it. Now, the difference between the released album version from Crush Groove and the one on this album is that this one is actually the 12-inch version, so it's about 6 minutes and change, while the one on Crush Groove is 3 minutes and change. But, you know, great addition to the collection. Here's another highlight of the album, number 9. That's Baby You're a Trip, and I've had this on bootleg forever. It's actually one of the first few bootlegs that I had way in the beginning of my collection. And honestly, this version blows Jill Jones' version out of the water because his voice and it just complements the song better. Nothing against Jill, again, but this version is the superior version. Now I'm gonna skim through the rest of the songs really quick because they basically follow the same basic tracks as what's been released already. You have Glamorous Life, which is obviously Sheila E.'s song. Gigolos Get Lonely Too. Actually, I'm going to discuss Gigolos Get Lonely Too. In a previous episode, when Macy and I were talking about the announcements during the celebration, we touched on Gigolos Get Lonely, and I said that I really want to hear Prince's version because he has a better voice when it comes to ballads than Morris Day. I take it back. Morris Day complements the song with his voice way better than Prince did. I don't know if Prince was lazy that day when he was recording it, but I actually prefer Morris Day's version of Gigolos Get Lonely Too. Now I'm going to skim through the rest of the songs. Love Thy Will Be Done. It's been circulating for a while, and great version. I've always loved Prince's version, but it's more or less exactly the same as Martika's version. Dear Michelangelo, same as Sheila E.'s version, just Prince's voice. Now, here's where it gets a little different, and this brings us to song number 14, and I was a little surprised by it, Wouldn't You Love to Love Me? Now, in the bootleg circuit, there are two distinctly different versions. One by the Rebels, which was more or less the Dirty Mind Band, singing under a pseudonym. There was an idea Prince had where they were going to kind of contribute songwriting and singing duties for different songs and release an album without ever showing who they were. It was supposed to be like band members on the cover, but in silhouette, so you never really knew who they were. But that idea was shelved. But in that session, they recorded Wouldn't You Love to Love Me, at least that version. And it's more of it's a simpler version. It's basically keyboards and a drum beat and Prince singing in falsetto. Then there was the demo for Tasha Seville's version, which was more or less exactly the same as the release version. And that's actually, so I expected one of those two versions to show up on this album when I saw the song list. But there turns out to be a third version of the song, and this version does not resemble the Tasha Seville version at all. It's completely different. It's actually a funkier version. I'm kind of hard pressed to figure out which one I like better, because actually of the two previous versions, I actually like the Tasha Seville's version musically, but listening to this version, I think I like this one better because it's funky. Buy the album, listen to it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that was a pleasant surprise. I was actually really, really surprised. You think you know everything, but you really don't. You never really do when it comes to Prince's music. There's always going to be surprises, and this was a good one. And song number 15 is Nothing Compares to You, which is the same version that was released last year during the celebration. And it's to me, this is the superior version of all the Prince-related versions. Honestly, I know I'm gonna make a lot of people mad, but I like the Sinead O'Connor version out of all of them. But between the two other demos that exist of Nothing Compares to You, the one that's actually released on this album is the superior version because it's not as sparse. It actually has more instrumentation, and he carries the vocals a little better than St. Paul. Sorry, St. Paul. Nothing personal, but Prince is the master. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the album. I would suggest personally that you buy it. It's on Tidal for 2 weeks, and then on the 21st, the hard copies are going to be available, CDs and vinyls, and I guess downloads. So if you want to go in that route, I suggest you do. But if you do get the CD, make sure you get the Target version. There's a Target exclusive version, and that includes an extra version of Nothing Compares to You, the cinematic remix. I personally am going to get that, and I'm also going to get the white vinyl. So in 2 weeks we'll probably do an unboxing and review for that when it comes in. But for now, I'm Clint, all alone because Messina's in Minneapolis. Do us a favor, check out our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page, New York Prince fans, or you could check out my Instagram, Mad Angry Panda, or Messina's Instagram, Pills, Thrills, and Daffodils, and keep track of us. Or if you want to get notifications of our new episodes, because Messina should be coming up with an episode pretty soon, you could, right here, click on that little watermark and you can subscribe to us. Until then, peace and be wild.